we are resuming with our next episode of A Farm Girl Goes to Boston. Last time we spoke, we talked about graduation with three generations of graduates, from my grandfather in the 30s to my mother in the 60s and my son during the COVID crisis. At that point, my mother went off to college, and that's where we resume our story. Hi, Mom. How are you doing today?
I am doing really well. It's Mother's Day, and you can see my beautiful bouquet
Very lovely. Very lovely.
that came from you. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. So just as a reminder, what year did you go off to college and where did you go to school?
I graduated from high school in 1963, headed to college that fall. Graduated from high school in Colorado Springs and made the trek up to Spokane, Washington to go to school at Whitworth College.
Okay. And when you entered Whitworth, were you studying a specific subject, or were you just exploring?
I thought I was going to be a biology major. I was really into sciences, and I was especially interested in genetics.
Uh-huh.
And I took my first biology class, and Dr. Gray was a very exacting professor. She was excellent, and the labs were too hard, and I decided I needed to do something easier. And so I became a history major.
During the course of your first year then at Whitworth, instead of asking you more about your history major, I wanted to get into our other special guest today, who is none other than this fine young gentleman. Tell us who he is and how you met.
Thank you for letting me go first.
Don't you want the version?
Okay, so we should bring this character in. This fine young man is my dad. Hi, Dad. How are you?
Oh, I'm really wonderful. Thank you. It's good to see you.
Thank you for joining the Mom series today.
Mhm.
So I thought it would be fun to have you tell the story of how the two of you met. So, Mom, take it away, and then I'm sure it'll get heated from here.
Okay.
No. It's got to be the true vision first.
Oh, okay. All right, Mom, what's your start?
No, let Terry go first because his is so imaginative and his is so interesting.
College was in Spokane. I was from Southern California. She was from Colorado Springs. It was the end of the semester at the end of January. There was a week break. So we, with some other students, were still on campus. It was Sunday evening. It was a religious school. We had a Vespers service on Sunday evening. We had a very large lounge in my dormitory. She came over to my lounge for Vespers. I was leading the songs. There was a U-shaped setup of chairs. When I was done leading the songs, there was one chair open in the whole room, and it was right directly across from her. Now, why would that one chair have been open? As soon as Vespers were finished, I stood up and I started to walk to the other side of the room. And this young co-ed came up to me and said, "There's somebody I'd like you to meet." And I said, "Okay." And she said, "Well, hold on." She turned around and, "Jenny!" And so Jenny came over. And this other woman, Barbara, said, "Terry, I'd like you to meet Jenny." And she left.
Oh.
That was it. That's how we met. So what are you supposed to do in this conversation? So we talked a little bit. And then because there was a whole week with nothing to do on campus, Jenny mentioned there was a pinochle tournament starting the next night, Monday night. And she said to me, "Wouldn't you be my partner in the pinochle tournament?" So that's how we met. She came to my dorm. She arranged for me to sit across the room from her. She had Barbara introduce us. She picked me up in my dorm. That's how we met.
Okay,
Mom,
now, yes, my turn.
your side of the story.
Okay, there are some factual bases to what he said. Yes, the Vespers was in his dorm. There was nothing ever to do on this college campus. It was way out at the north end of town. We had no public transportation. And as Terry said, it was semester break. There were about 200 of us left on campus for that week. Because there was nothing to do, all 200 of us ended up in Terry's dorm in their lounge, piled in. And it's true, there was a vacant chair across the room after he finished leading the singing. It is true that Barb introduced us, but at his initiative, not mine. It is true that as soon as she said, Ginny, this is Terry, Terry, this is Ginny, she walked away. It was like, okay. But then my roommate, Louise, oh, wonderful Louise, rescued the situation. She joined us and we started talking about the Pinochle tournament. And then my wonderful Louise roommate, who found out that Terry also played Pinochle, Louise was teaching me how to play so she and I could be partners in this Pinochle tournament. She said, oh, Terry, you know how to play Pinochle. Okay, why don't you and Ginny enter the tournament? I look at Louise and said, okay. So that, as of January 26, 1964, then we saw each other every day the rest of that school term.
We got killed in the Pinochle tournament, and as soon as we lost, she said, there's a basketball tournament on campus. You want to go with me tomorrow night?
Oh my gosh. Okay, and the rest is history, I suppose. Yeah.
Pretty
No.
much.
Well, I want to go on to this picture because
Okay.
when we say the rest is history, well, first of all, just how old were you when you two met? First, just answer that.
18.
You were both 18?
I was 18, he was 20.
Okay. And yeah. Then tell me when you got married.
I was 19, he was 21.
Were you guys just crazy, or what was the accelerated timeline to get married at such a young age?
She pursued me all over campus until I just finally wilted under the pressure, and I said yes.
So we meet in January. I end up traveling down to Southern California when the school term was over that spring and met Mom and Pop and Terry's younger brother, Steve. And then I came back to Colorado Springs and, you know, it was going to be the rest of the summer. And Terry says, hey, I'm going through Colorado on my way to Wisconsin for my summer job. How about if I stop by and meet your family? He stopped by, met my family that June. This has been 1964, and proposed, which completely stunned me. I had absolutely no idea that was the agenda of stopping by Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs is at the base of Pikes Peak. One night she took me out driving in the mountains, knowing that I'm afraid of heights. She scared me out of my mind till I didn't know what I was doing.
And so this proposal happened at the base of Pikes Peak?
Yep.
Yeah, on Manitou Incline.
And what was your reaction other than utter shock?
Utter shock.
Okay. Okay. And so you said then the timeline to when you got married was what?
Then the next June, 1965, that next summer. So
Wow.
that would have been after my sophomore year in college and after Terry's junior year. He was a year ahead of me in college.
All right. Well, so Dad, I have to ask you, what in particular drew you to Mom?
For good taste in men.
Okay. And what else about Mom drew you to her?
I like talking about the school subjects we were studying.
Oh,
She wound up majoring in history, and she was always telling me about her history classes. I found that really fascinating.
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because I wasn't studying history.
What were you studying?
I studied philosophy.
Philosophy. Okay.
Yeah, and I minored in Greek. Boy, there's something to talk about.
Those are such practical subjects.
Sure.
So Terry was, from the outset, he was going to go to seminary. And so actually philosophy and Greek were
Oh.
logical subjects to study if you were going to a Presbyterian seminary. Well, no, he wasn't going to a Presbyterian seminary, just to a seminary. And
Oh, I see. Okay.
What attracted me to her was meeting her for breakfast in the morning, which meant I would get to the cafeteria a half hour before she'd do it and wait.
What do you mean?
actually,
Taught me a
Julie,
lot about patience.
Oh, I see.
it really is the case that I was even less punctual than I am now. And Terry was even more punctual than he is now. And Terry was always waiting for me, always, whether it was to meet at the cafeteria for a meal or to go out across campus on a date to the campus hub, we called it. He was always waiting. Sorry, Ter.
Okay. Well,
We were meant for each other. I never did any studying. She studied until 2:00 in the morning and then couldn't meet me for breakfast at 7.
wow. Okay. Well, so I just have one more question before we wrap up, which is if you got married when you were both still in school, where did you then live?
Oh my gosh. This, so this is 1965, right? The fall of 1965. When we got to campus that fall, they had what they called married student housing. That was still, although it was 20 years after the end of World War II, they still had these old, what did they call them?
Barracks.
Quonset huts.
Barracks. They were army.
Barracks. Anyway, so they were like fourplexes. And we spent more on our heating bills than we did on our rent. I think our rent was $32 a month, and our heating bill was at least twice that. So we lived in these old college barracks way out on the edge of the campus, along with the other married couples.
So to help me understand, getting married at your relatively young age, you said you lived on married student housing. Was it typical for people to get married at that age or not?
Probably it was more typical that people married when they graduated, but we were among, there were other married couples, undergraduates.
Huh. I'll be darned. Okay.
Not many.
Not
Yeah,
many.
not many.
All right. Well, that's a good spot then to leave the episode. I wanted to hear about the most significant thing that happened to you in college. And at least in my mind, that's it.
Yeah, pretty significant. I would agree.
You don't get to choose.
Right. Okay. Well, then we will come back in our next episode and talk about how the journey for Mom's life has been moving forward now that you have been a tandem. So thank you both for joining me today, and happy Mother's Day.
Thanks. This was fun, as usual.
Okay. All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Love
Bye.
you. Bye.